keeping you updated on everything gaming. Today, we're going to be talking about Resident Evil Village. And to start, my name is Alex, and I am joined by Lou.
Hello.
And Michelle.
Hello.
And we had a hell of a time with these residents of this village of evil, and it's a great way to include the title in the intro. But let's talk spoiler free for now. We're going to talk about our initial thoughts on the game after clearing it for the first time. What did everyone think?
I really liked it. I loved it. It's been a while since, when you play a game and you just don't want to stop. The last kind of game that I played like that was Little Nightmares 1, where it's like I gotta keep on playing. So Resident Evil Village had that effect on me where I just kept going, even though some parts really screwed me over and I had to stop a little bit. But yeah, I love it.
Ooh, yeah, I also really enjoyed it. I think for me there were some parts that were tedious, would be the word I would say, that I'm like, hey, this feels a little bit long and drawn out and annoying. But overall, I had a really hard time putting it down and stopping playing it. Though I do think this game, I don't know if it benefited or like didn't benefit from just what it actually was versus what I thought it was going to be, like in terms of the trailers and then the game. There was kind of a difference there, but I won't get into that yet for spoiler's sake. But I felt like it was maybe marketed a little bit different than it actually ended up being in my mind, which was, I was like, about that. So some people could love that about it, some people could hate that about it, but I think that did impact for sure.
I think I'm the complete opposite as Michelle, because or maybe I read the commercials differently than you did, because when I saw them, I'm like, okay, a return to Resident Evil 4. That's what this is going to be, and it was, although it had its problems because Resident Evil 4 was really actiony, run and gun, quick stuff. The mechanics of this game doesn't lend itself to that because Ethan isn't too fast when you play as him, and like the blocking mechanic isn't like a real, like Mortal Kombat block. It's more of a right kind of thing. Oh yeah, right.
Oh wait, there you go.
Oh, yeah. So like that sort of clash, but I love, like, regardless of that, the gameplay was great. I had problems with the story, part of it, like the whole lore, and so with that said, we'll be moving from spoiler free right into the spoilers. And to catch everyone up, if you want to check out our first impressions, or there's another video that Michelle and myself made discussing the first part of the game, you can go check that out. Lou will have the link somewhere over here. Yep. And yeah. And so to bring you up to speed, Ethan's wife is killed by Chris Redfield and his team, called the Bloodhound Gang. What are they called? Like Wolf Squad. I'm pretty sure that's Wolf Squad.
Something like that.
Not Bloodhound Gang. That's someone else.
Cool name though.
Well, so that happens, and it's very puzzling because why would Chris do that and then abduct Ethan and Mia's baby, Rose? And so on the way, I don't know where, Ethan finds himself in a village and he is attacked by an army of wolves who suddenly stop for some reason, and he's carried to the four heads of the family of this village. And the four heads are Lady Dimitrescu, the Beneventos, I forgot their names.
Donna and her doll Angie.
There you go, right? The doll can speak and move by itself, by the way, no strings attached. There's also Moreau, our beloved fish person.
Our handsome fish prince.
Yeah. And I guess our Mickey Rourke stand-in, Heisenberg, who's also Magneto in Insanity. And And they're all led by Lady Miranda, who's the figurehead, the leader, the person who gave them all these blessings, I guess, powers, basically. And they decide who's going to have fun with Ethan. Unfortunately, Ethan escapes from Heisenberg's test or whatever that was, and he finds himself in Castle Dimitrescu. And the Lady Dimitrescu is a gigantic beast of a woman, like 8 or 10 feet tall. She has
9
3
foot
daughters.
6.
Nine. I was like, she's
Okay, 9'6". Damn. Well, she's humongous. She's got a big old hat.
big
too.
old lady.
Big lady with the quote unquote milkies, as they say on the internet. That's what they say. I didn't say it. It's a funny word. And her 3 daughters, who were creepy and cool as hell, who were just like legit vampires with the blood-caked lips, and they can turn into bugs and fly around. And so let's talk spoilers. What did you guys think of this whole entire castle portion?
I'm gonna go out and say it. God damn it, you can't have the internet's girlfriend, Lady D, be the first thing you kill. She's the first of the heads of houses to die. And this is where, like, I don't know if it was the marketing, the internet, that made me think like Lady D is here for the long run. Not that she was the big bad because we knew Mother Miranda existed, but that she wasn't the first one you killed. So you do get like the castle segment does feel a little bit longer. So you do get a lot of time with her, but then you kill her and it's like, okay, bye. And I don't know, for me, I was like, that's a little bit disappointing. Just like she felt so awesome until you fight her in big boss form. I'm like, this is very like, she was boring as a dragon bat monster thing to me. Like that felt very, I've seen that before, like not that, but the same idea. Like it felt just like, I don't know, too familiar to me. And I wish she had been cooler of a boss to fight. Whereas I thought her daughters were awesome to fight. Like I really liked the mechanics around them once I figured it out and learned how to do it. I loved like their mechanics, where she was just a straight up shoot it fight. And that just felt really, I don't know, it didn't feel cool enough for me for how like cool of a character she was originally, if that makes sense. So I'm like, I loved the castle and also I'm mad about it still.
Same kind of. Once we got to the castle, I really loved everything about it, like trying to like solve the puzzles and the big old lady just sort of just appearing out of nowhere. And I agree with Michelle that like the fight actually was kind of, it's just a big monster, where in my head I thought that they could have maybe designed her, I don't know, more feminine, more kind of her, kind of more Lady D, because
Sexy, scary.
yeah, something that would make me horny and scared at the same time. But she just turned out to be a like a giant beast, which was like okay, Resident Evil time now. But yeah, everything in the castle, just walking around the castle, the daughters' fights were really cool. Yeah, that was the only disappointing part for me in the castle, was her final, monster form.
I gonna echo the same thing you guys said. I don't want to. I won't spoil Biohazard, aka Part 7, because Lou is currently playing it.
I saw. I was watching the entire story of Resident Evil, so I know what happens.
Oh, okay.
Spoil away. I know what happens.
All right. Okay, fair. So at a certain point in the game, there comes a time when like the boss it just becomes too big, and it's like, am I playing Resident Evil or Legend of Zelda? Like I gotta shoot these eyes, like I have to find this weakness, and then like Lady D's final form felt like that, where like it's just this big old fight. In contrast to the more Resident Evil-ish boss battle of the daughters, where it was a puzzle and you have to like run around freaking out, figuring out just how to open a damn window, right? Yeah. And that was magnificent, but there was nothing remotely intelligent about the fight with Lady D. But that said, the whole castle bit up until then was phenomenal. Like I was so freaked out my first playthrough that I couldn't explore, and I was just like, I'll come back to this castle later on, and I'll get the treasures. Yeah, and that did not happen. So because they locked the door. Damn
I'm
you.
so haunted by that because
Yes.
I didn't realize, because I've been playing it and then my boyfriend's been playing his own playthrough. So I'll play it first and then he'll kind of like play on his own account. So I watch him play. There's an achievement for breaking all the windows in the castle. And I didn't get it. And I saved over my damn save in the castle. And I'm so mad at myself. So I have to play again to do that. Cause I just like, that's an achievement that I'm like, I know I can have that. Give it to me. And then also there's a pool of fish at the end of the castle that if you go by, you can't go back and get it. And now I was at the point where I had every recipe from Duke except for the final one that requires 6 fish because I missed the fish. You can go back for everything, but not that. Not those fish. Too bad.
You probably missed the Moreau section of fish because there are catfish that are worth 2 pieces of fish each.
Yeah, I missed that too.
I got no fish over there. Yeah, same.
I kept saying like as I'm playing, why am I getting no fish in the fish area? What is this?
Yes, the same. I left with no fish. That's right.
The only fish I got was like kind of the outside area when you kind of came out of that tunnel.
Yeah,
that's the only fish I got. Like, that's it.
Really lacking in fish.
I mean, whatever. Like the fish, the last fish recipe was like to increase your movement speed, which I'm like, whatever. I'm over it. I have everything else, so like I don't really care about that.
Hey, that is what New Game Plus is for. So after the castle, well, actually, just before the castle, we meet a character that we should probably just quickly give our thoughts about, and that is Mr. Duke, the Duke himself.
I've been waiting for you, Mr. Winters.
Duke.
Well, like he was introduced as the merchant character, like from part 4. He even references one of the merchant's lines, which is really funny. I enjoyed that. I'm a fan. I'll be honest. He was friendly. He was there for you at the end, which I thought was like a big deal considering like the merchant in part 4. He was just a salesman, and that was it. What did you guys think of the Duke? Or Duke?
I like him, and I was hoping for even more from him because he felt like yeah, he's the merchant character, but he knows so much. Like for most of the game, he's the one kind of telling Ethan what to do and where to go and what's going on. So I thought he would have a bigger role to play. Like there would be some revelation of who he was, why he's there, and what's his relation to everything. And like that doesn't really happen. I thought, is he like the 5th kid of Mother Miranda and he wants to defeat her the same way Heisenberg does, but he's kind of like using Ethan to get there? Like I thought that would have been a cool, I don't know. I was just like, who is he? What's his story? Like, is there going to be an extra like thing that tells me what his situation is? Because he's not just like a casual merchant, but he's also not a full character. So like, how does he play in? I wish there had been more explanation of him and his role specifically.
Yeah. I love my boy Duke, but it seems like he's something else. I mean, you know how many times I tried to kill him for fun and he would not die? I mean, which would be kind of dumb because he's where, you know, you're merchant. But
imagine you could kill the merchant and then you couldn't buy anything ever again. That'd be bad.
The last part I was looking for Duke so much. But yeah, it feels like Duke may have been, you know, trying to start his own rebellion too against this is just like spitting out theories, trying to set up his own rebellion against Mother Miranda, same way as Heisenberg was. But yeah, I do wish there was more Duke.
Fair enough. Now let's get to the haunted dollhouse. Holy shit, House Beneviento. Okay, so it turns out you picked up this jar in the castle, which was a body part, and it turns out to be Ethan's baby's body parts. So
it was their head.
That's right. Each house has a different body part. Lady D had the head. He needs to get the next one from the Benevento head, the house, And so he makes his way there. And this section of the game is kind of like a puzzle. You lose your weapons. There is a mannequin in the middle of a room. You have to inspect it, find clues and items and interact with the items until you get to, does anybody want to say it? What shows up?
I don't know what to call it. Fetus Monster is how I refer to it.
That goddamn baby.
According to the concept art, it's a 4-minute-old baby, which is huge. If you actually track it, I just noticed it from the table where the mannequin is.
The umbilical cord's just chilling.
Yes, that's right. The umbilical cord just leads you right up to that giant baby. He's huge, 4 feet tall, 7 feet wide, or long, I'd say, according to the concept art. And it's chasing you around while you're figuring out the rest of the riddles, trying to escape. Thoughts, guys? Take over, please.
See how you guys are like looking at details and stuff in that house. I just wanted to get that house. That house Bene Viento was probably the scariest part of the game for me, and also thus making it the harder, especially parts where there's no light and the little giant big ass baby fetus is after you. Like, it's so hard to think because you don't know what's around the corner. But I guess it's also my favorite part of the game because of just how scared I was of the whole thing. I mean, I didn't like that baby, but everything about it, it's actually for the you know how I said I was never gonna wear headphones for this game. I did with the castle. When I started at the house, I took it off and I put it back at our fish boys place. But yeah, because oh my god, the details of just the little sounds, the little creaks, the little it was scary.
I love scary things. I love horror games. This is the first time in all of my time of playing scary games where I actually had to pause and leave in the middle of a segment. Like straight up, I'm hiding under the bed. I know the baby thing's coming. I actually had to get up and just go away. Like I just walked around my house for half an hour because I was sweating and my heart was going so fast. I was like, I'm gonna actually have some type of panic attack if I don't calm down before I get back into this. Like it hit me in my soul in a place that I've never actually experienced. Like there's something about the screaming baby sound, because I hate babies. Like I hate them. And then it's the way it's just familiar enough that it's a baby. You know it's a baby, but it's just otherworldly enough that it's like, I don't know what it did to me, but it had like a visceral effect on me where I'm like, I need to protect the baby, but also I need to run away from the baby. Like, I don't know what, it had an effect on me that I was not prepared for. So that segment, like, to me, it felt like a different game completely. Like when I think of that segment compared to the rest of the game, what, where did that come from? It was spectacular. And it was so creative to me. Like I loved the way, like Alex said, like the puzzle of that entire section. Even when you're fighting Angie, chasing her around, that was so cool. I loved that entire, like the panic of me being like, oh god, where is she? Follow the blood. Where did she go? Like it felt so good and so intense, especially when you just came from like fighting Lady D and it's like, cool, shoot it to death, whatever. Like I was like, okay, shoot it.
And
whereas this
no
one,
guns.
I'm like, I literally, you can't do
No
anything. You're just running around. It was so, the entire section there was like perfect in my mind. Like obviously the baby is terrifying and whatever. I wouldn't change a single thing about that entire section. I thought it was spectacular. I like would not want to play more of it. I think it was just the right amount of it. Because otherwise I feel like it would have gotten stale or like it wouldn't have that effect on you, because it felt very short, but like so intense the entire time. I loved it. By far the best.
Even that wooden mannequin thing, I'm like, but if I pick this up, please don't do anything else.
Yeah, if this thing jumps up at me, I'm gonna lose it.
There was also a part that really scared me, is that I think you got to solve some stuff and you go back to the kind of a lab and you see like a little figure through the window. Just go
Yeah.
like,
Yes.
oh no! I
It
think
got you with
end the
the
game for today.
the ghost of Mia jump scares, right?
Yeah.
Because it kind of led you in with that, and so you got to see that throughout the house, which I loved that. And then on my second playthrough, I actually paid more attention to things, so you actually get an explanation of why that happens and why that's a thing. It's not just like there's not just a ghost. I don't know if you guys like read about that, but it's
Yeah,
the flowers planted outside. They make you see your dead loved ones, like you go on a bad trip essentially. So that's why Ethan was seeing the ghost of Mia. So I just thought that was really cool when I figured that out later, because at first I was like, why is this even happening? Is Mia here? So
it really was one of my favorite parts of a first playthrough, but like subsequent playthroughs, it gets like it turns into a portion that I just dread, because like there's nothing new to it, and it's just like running around puzzle solving sort of deal for like 20 minutes to like half an hour depending. So like awesome first time around, the whole baby thing, dear Lord. And yeah, you guys covered it pretty well. Nothing more to be said. And now with the second baby part in hand, Ethan takes off, and now it's time for Moreau. And this is the fish person. He finds the third body part. He grabs it quite easily, but then Moreau notices it, and they have like a short conversation where Moreau tries to battle through vomiting for no reason to get spit words out. And you know, it reminds me of like The Simpsons. There was like a Treehouse of Horror where there was a frog that like the Harry Potter parody. There was a frog that just vomited and just like killed me.
Yep.
That's all it reminded me of.
Defend my honor.
So so it turns out Ethan has to like power a generator to lift the sluice, to drain the water, to exit. And the whole time Moreau, when he's underwater, he's an alpha, but when he's out of the water, sorry, he's a Chad underwater, out of water, complete virgin. He's nothing.
he's a simp for Mother Miranda. That's what he is.
He is. So, I really hope someone does the meme, but guys, take it away. What would you think? Like another very unique part of the game, because like you're not quite running and gunning. There's a little bit of shooting, but it's mostly a lot of platforming in this area, and trying not to get killed by Moreau as a giant fish, and you're just like hitting these switches, timing it just right, running across platforms at the perfect time to make it to turn on a generator, get a crank and turn on a generator. How did you guys feel about this portion of the game?
This is probably, as weird as it sounds, kind of the easiest part for me of the game. Like you said, there's a good balance of just shooting and puzzle solving, and the only part that I really had trouble is those little tiny elevator things. So the blue and the yellow, and I kept falling, and he kept eating me. So it was the most times I've died actually in the game, and I couldn't figure out why. But eventually I got all of that. Guy puked on me, so but yeah, it was for me the easiest part of the game. So yeah.
Ooh, that's a good one. I'm gonna say I played on casual because I'm scrub. I like to play like my first playthrough casual. I only died once, and it was in the original Heisenberg fight or chase scene when you're running like through the castle at the bottom, and then there's the spinny spikes. I didn't know what to do. I got killed by the spikes. Didn't die again the rest of the game. So there's that for me. This section I liked this section a lot. I think it would probably be my like second favorite section after Bien Viento. It felt very Resident Evil to me because it was like the puzzle, like the running. Yeah. There's always some type of water monster, I feel like, in a lot of Resident Evil. So like whenever a water monster shows up, I'm like, here we are, it's Resident Evil. The water in these games makes me nervous and uncomfortable. So I always had that little bit of like, ooh, I really don't want to get in the water. And like, I hate when things pop out of the water, like that I hate that. So it was just tense enough for me that like, this is exciting, but it wasn't like pure panic of a like fetus baby thing. I loved it. Then I loved the boss fight with him, because even though it is kind of a run and gun, there is still that like mild puzzle, like what do I do when he's vomiting in the sky? Like there was still that like, oh, I have to think, I can't just like run through and shoot and do all that. So I liked that a lot. I thought it was good. Him as a character, honestly, I adore. I think he's so weird and just like disgusting. And just a nice kind of, I don't know, you don't get to know Donna Benviento at all. And you do get to know Lady Dimitrescu, I always say her name wrong. And then you kind of get to know Moreau, and he's like this like nasty guy thing. And I just think it's a great
Just wants
character.
to be loved.
Yeah, he like just mama love me. Like, why don't you love me? And gross, let me barf. Literally. And then he falls in the water. I thought it was great. The thing, like the one part in there that I'm like mad about it, but it's a story element, is Ethan goes, he sees the jar, he takes the jar, Moreau does not notice him, and he goes, I'll be taking this. And then Moreau's like, no.
Yeah.
Ethan, he literally could have just taken it and just left and just get out of there. But obviously it's a video game and we have to fight the boss. But Ethan is so stupid.
Like, did anyone else find Ethan unnecessarily mean? Like, he kills Moreau, and he's like, just like he,
the snarky
like,
comments,
just like he was in life, right?
Disgusting.
Or a freak, something like that. Like, dude, it's not his fault. Miranda injected him with, or like put that Metroid thing.
Yeah,
in
he
his
was a
body.
bit of a jerk.
You know,
This guy, this fish man, just wants to be loved. Like, he's like, one of the things he says in the fight is, why don't you love me? Or why don't you like me? And it's like, well, first of all, you're attacking me. But second of all, I don't know, man. The odds are not in our favor right now. Like, we're not meant to be together. But yeah, he's like a weirdly tragic character. And even Donna Benviento, like her backstory is super tragic. Because she has like the scar on her face, so she like doesn't have friends and this and that, and then she gets the doll from Mother Miranda, and then like the doll becomes sentient, and it's the whole thing. So like she's also a tragic figure. Everyone else I'm not so sure about, but those two at least.
Okay, let's move on from Fish Sticks to the Heisenberg factory, and there's also like the stronghold, I guess, combined with that part. So these two sections of game under Heisenberg, they're the real run and gun and shoot portion of the game. Like tons of werewolves, tons of these Frankenstein creatures in the factory. So in the story, Heisenberg wants to lay out a parlay with Ethan to have a truce so that they can both, defeat Mother Miranda, because Heisenberg is creating his own army of these Frankenstein things to kill Miranda and take over. But Ethan isn't having it because I guess Heisenberg said something mean about his daughter, like using his daughter as something, and you can tell that bothered me. It's like, no, you guys are on the same page. You should form an alliance.
And best team up ever. Why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
Like, Ethan,
exactly.
Magneto wants to fight on your side.
Yes.
Why would you say no?
Come on. So and we have the big boss fight where you're in the tank and you're shooting Heisenberg. Really cool stuff. What did y'all think?
I'm gonna say two quick things about this. Number one, Heisenberg does not get the love he deserves. Daddy, I adore him. Like, Lady D, cool. Give me Heisenberg. Give me Daddy Heisenberg every single day. I freaking adore him. I think he's just hell yeah. Let's go. Anyways, that, and then Ethan has his most badass moment in the entire ever in that segment when Heisenberg goes to kick him down the hole and he's holding his wrist. And then Ethan's like, nah, and let's go. Just like, let me go. And Heisenberg's holding him. That is such a power move that I was like, Ethan, that was the best thing you've literally ever done. Because he like wants to be, he's like, I don't care, drop me. So he like, let's go. But Heisenberg's still holding him. That was such a cool, like, I love that sequence. Then the rest of it to me felt very Resident Evil, like run and gun, look for the things, like mild puzzles, nothing too crazy, but like that all felt fine. The stronghold itself was like, take it or leave it for me. It was just shooting. I was like, hey, just kill everything and then progress. Whereas at least in the factory, you do like the rooms, the scope of the factory felt very, very big. Not quite as big as the castle, but still definitely up there. Like there was a good chunk of time where I'm like, literally, where am I going? And I really liked having that feeling again, whereas it felt very linear once again up to that point.
Yeah, I really love this part of the game too, and I kind of made it worse for myself by just refusing to look at the map. So I'm just running around like a lunatic all over the place. This is probably where it took me the longest to finish because I did not look at the map. There were times like, all right, where am I? And then that's I'd look for like 2 seconds, try to just see something. Other than that, I really like that I got to remember like early on, I was like, how are these people getting all these guns? So I have all these cool guns now. And at Morose, you used some, but you weren't using it a lot. At Benevento, you had no guns. So for me, it was fun to just kind of this part where just shoot everybody up, and especially the near the end part, the final battle with Heisenberg, where you got to be in that kind of tank thingy. Yeah. And I just looked at the bullet and it said infinite bullets, so I just like let him have it, even though you were thrown off. But yeah, just shooting in this part was what I really liked. And yeah, Heisenberg is cool. I mean, think about it. You could be like a Magneto and maybe Wolverine because of the healing factor that that guy gets his hand chopped up, puts it back, and just puts some,
put some goo on it.
Put some goo on it, and he's good to go. Yeah, I love this part for just the sheer fun of shooting.
Absolutely. And if you like this part, that means you'd probably like parts 5 and 6, because those are really gun heavy, shooty heavy. Not much on the riddles or the puzzles. But yeah, I enjoyed it too. It was cool. Yeah, the stronghold was just what it was, just shooting and killing. But the factory had a little more depth to it, more of the like figuring out kind of puzzles, not the toughest puzzles, but if you didn't use a map, you were screwed. I went around in circles for the longest time. It was brutal. But once you get out of there, that whole climax is cool. You find out Chris Redfield didn't really kill your wife, and that was actually Mother Miranda mimicking Mia, and because she was interested, she wanted to abduct the daughter. A sentence or two that Chris didn't bother to say up until that point in the game. Yeah, and which brings us to the end where all hell breaks loose. Miranda comes for Ethan, rips out his heart. But he's a special boy. He's so special.
Yep.
According to Mia, he's just special. So he turns out to be mold. That's it. He's mold. He's a mold person. I guess that it kind of explains why his fabric reattaches along with his arm. I guess. And so he's not a Wesker. He's not a tyrant. He's not he's just a thing. He's a mold that somehow hallucinates Evelyn from Biohazard, because Evelyn was there for a brief period in the dream that Ethan has as a mold. He has a consciousness.
Hey, molds can dream too.
Yeah. Even a mold can cry. But so that brings you to the Chris Redfield portion of the game, which is like a lot of running and gunning towards the metamycene, I think it's called. It's like this big giant mold heart that's like under the village that Mother Miranda's controlling. She's ready to do her ritual to bring back her daughter, because that's what it was all about, this whole ritual to bring back her daughter in the body of Rose. So Ethan didn't really die when his heart got ripped out. It was just, a thing. He probably just splashed more first aid help. Yeah, all right. And Duke brings Ethan to the boss battle, and they have it out. So spoiling the ending up until here, like the boss fight and everything, this whole last thing, the climax. What'd you guys think?
Okay, so at first I was kind of pissed that Ethan died, and then we had to be Chris Redfield. And in my head, I was like, really, all that just so I could finish with Chris Redfield? But then he comes back, so I was like, all right, he comes back, but then he's Mold, so I was like, oh, really, Mold? So I was pretty disappointed with the Mold thing. I thought he'd have a deeper connection to the Resident Evil lore, especially since we found out that Mother Miranda was actually, it goes to the first founders of like the Umbrella Corporation, right? She was there, so that was a cool thing about her. So Ethan just kind of, I lost kind of what's the word, faith in Ethan, or I just stopped liking him because it's racist against Mold, I guess. But other than that, the fight with the Mother Miranda was pretty cool. I liked it. I like the ending. And I don't know, but I guess we'll talk about it later. The post credit scene.
Mhm.
So yeah, it was like I said again. My favorite parts of the game were probably the castle and House Beneviento.
I think this is the first time in a very long time where I've been right about a prediction and I've been unhappy about it. Because I don't know if you can do this, Lou, but if you can cut back to the review where I said Ethan is a zombie and Mia isn't Mia. I was right. I nailed it. The zombie thing, obviously he's a mold, but in this context, it's the same thing. I'm so disappointed about that, honestly. Like, I was joking. I was like, oh, he's a zombie. Like, I wanted him to have powers, be a person and have powers. The thing about Ethan, why we've talked about this 101 times, why we like him in 7 is he's an everyman. He's just a dude. He's just chilling. In this case, okay, he had some weapons training. Okay, fine. He's still just a dude looking for his kid. Now he's this blob thing. And I don't like Lou said, immediately I'm not connected to that character anymore. Cool. Like, he died and I was like, oh, that's really disappointing. And then he came back and I'm like, I don't feel good about that. Go back to Chris. That was more exciting for me. So that I hate it. I'm pissed about it. Then the Mother Miranda Mia thing, I'm like, okay, cool. But also, Chris, why couldn't you just say, like, you shoot me a whole bunch and then you go, that's not Mia?
Yeah.
All this would have been solved. The amount of times, like, when Chris and Ethan run into each other in the Moreau base, and Chris is like, you're in over your head, Ethan. Why do you think he's in over his head? Because you didn't tell him the simple freaking thing of, I didn't actually kill your wife. Your wife is here. Your wife is here and she's fine. And that was a monster. That's why I shot it 40 times. Like, really? Like, Chris is training Ethan. Like, they moved them where they moved them. They're training him. Why is this classified to him? And don't you think killing his wife, like, Ethan could have gone and just been like a nightmare. He could have just tried to kill Chris, right? Like, that was a weird gamble. It made no sense for me as far as the characters go. I'm like, what? That was a stupid choice. Like, yeah, kill her, and then be like, here's why. And then
didn't one of Chris's guys even mention that, oh man, you should have just told him earlier? And Chris is like, yeah.
He's like,
I think so.
There was no time. Oh, no time. Oh, there was no time to say just two things. Like,
but like,
you're
they had
sleeping
a
with a
full-on
zombie.
conversation. Like, they were like, they had conversations. The time between them taking Ethan and Rose into whatever transport vehicle and them getting to wherever somewhere in there, you couldn't have been like, so here's why. That just, I hated it. Mother Miranda being revealed as who she was, I'm on board. Her being the witch, we knew the witch was going to be some like that old lady. We knew she was going to be somebody. The thing that I love and was not expecting is that Mother Miranda is also a bunch of crows. Because I don't know if you noticed and commented on this, but my God, the amount of crows and the amount of crow jump scares in this game specifically was making me so angry. And then it's actually kind of explained, because that was Mother Miranda literally like watching you do stuff. So having that revelation, like, oh, of course it makes sense. There'd be 80 million crows everywhere, like popping out of the bushes. So yeah.
You guys hit it on the head. Thank you. I don't have to go off on mold anymore. Let's talk epilogue. Mold baby. Right. So the reason why the ritual didn't work is because Ethan shoots out mold spunk, and that was not a human baby. That was a mold baby.
Okay. But
yes.
actually, like, legit question here. Rose doesn't turn into mold. She turns into crystal. Why is that a thing?
So hold on. I just noticed something because it just beat it. That during the ritual, when Rose comes out of this like bloody, I don't know if it's a crib or what, like a stone, like a slab of stone. Like Rose comes up, but she comes out of it with a blanket intact, like intact, like wrapped in a blanket. So like it makes me think like this is like a mold thing where like Ethan can manipulate fabric because mold. So like can this baby like do mold stuff because mold? moldy mold? Yeah. But the crystal stuff, like what part?
This is gonna be just such a reference. In Luther's house, I think the house with the violin door,
yeah,
violin house. I'm pretty sure it's in that house. You have to go in there. There's a bunch of paperwork in there, and it talks about Rose actually turning into crystal. Like she crystallizes. So, but they don't show that, they don't reference that, but they like very clearly say she turns into crystal. Yeah, because I had this whole like, literally the only reason I remember it is because I recorded all my gameplay and I was literally just editing some of it, and I make this whole like, is that like X-Men, the girl who turns into crystals? Like that's what it's described as, like an Emma Frost type of situation. But they don't reference it ever again, but it's clearly stated that she turns into crystal. So what? Is she a crystal mold?
Because mold.
Is Mia made a crystal?
Yeah.
And Ethan's
Because
made
mold.
out of mold? Like, I don't.
Mold is the answer.
Mold is the answer.
So getting back to the story, Ethan kills Miranda. Ritual fails. Rose, I think, saved. Chris takes Rose. Ethan finally dies. I guess he took enough punishment. Yeah, exactly.
Because mold.
Because mold. So we don't quite know. And then you jump ahead into the future, and Rose is older. Like she's a teenager now, for being a baby to a teenager, and she's being trained by Chris Redfield, among others. And they mention it, but there's no mention whether like 15 years have passed or if this mold thing grew really fast, got old quick. But I'm gonna start. I'm just gonna say I hate it. Not, like I don't care about Rose. She was just like a bunch of flasks. Okay. And now it's the future. So like, if it's the far future, now we have to think about Chris and Leon and Jill all being old, and they're not in the prime of their lives. So like, why? I don't need a future story. I need like what's going on now. They showed in the game that the BSAA, Chris's former group, they're using zombie soldiers to go into battle, which is a big no in terms of like using bioweapons out in the field. And so I'm like, oh, that's a cool story. I'm sure it'll be followed up, but I'm guessing they're going to shoehorn Rose there as a primary character. So I made my feelings felt, about Rose. What did you guys think about this epilogue?
So I guess my only thoughts, I also didn't really care about mold babies, but my only thought is that I think you mentioned it earlier, where if it was actually maybe 15 years in the future or 16 years in the future, or her moldiness just aged her up. But the only thing that really kind of intrigued me in this last part is that person that they stopped for in the very end. It was just a blurry. So I don't know who that was, whether that was Old Man Redfield or just regular Redfield. Rose, I don't give a crap about. So
Ooh, okay. I mean, I mildly care about baby mold. Mildly. I just feel like they really tried at the end of this game to like transfer our love of Ethan as a character to her. Like they tried to kind of just be like, oh, he lives on in her. Like she's wearing his coat at the end. She's at his gravestone. Like we're really supposed to feel something for her, whether it works or not, like debatable. I'm interested in what her powers are because she does say, oh, I can do stuff that Chris doesn't even know about. She kind of really infers that like she's got mold powers or crystal powers or whatever it is, she has it. So that's interesting to me. I think the aging up thing makes sense because they infer that Chris is going to like, he's going somewhere to go meet up with people. So it looks like that's a storyline. And then it also looks like she's a storyline. So I'm like, are they 2 games? Are they 1 game? What's that plan? And then unpopular opinion, I don't know. I think the figure at the end is Ethan because mold don't die. So
Hey,
I think
because mold.
because mold.
Because mold.
But the thing that like I think that's him, but then also at the very, very end, it says the father's story is over. So does that mean he's dead or does that mean he's back? And we're just gonna watch Rose's story. Like there's something to that, I think. I just that was rough. That was rough. I felt like they really, I don't know, I don't play Resident Evil games to like feel stuff, like to feel positive emotions. I want to be like stressed and scared and like so trying to build this really like family situation when like we don't know Mia as a character literally at all still. It's been 2 games. She's been a bitch the whole time. Half the time in this game, is it even her? We don't know. So there's no connection there. Ethan, we barely connect with, especially in this game. Like Alex, I think you said he's a jerk in this game. He's kind of, he's just snarky. He's rude. I get it. He's trying to save his kid, but like, that's not enough for me to connect with him as a character. And Rose is a baby in a jar. So like, I'm not connected with that. So I don't know. I'm like, I'm more connected with like the bad guys. I'm like, I feel for the Ben Viento story. Like, that's a cool story. Like, I don't know. I'm not particularly excited to see like this story carry on in any way, shape, or form. Just give me something else.
Yeah.
Also,
I was more
umbrella. Sorry, the umbrella logo they found in a cave, and that's why it's the umbrella logo. Excuse? What? They saw it on a wall, and we're like, yeah, that should be our logo for our company. Sick. That's right. I was so disappointed by that.
just to tie everything together at the end.
Yeah, why not?
It was real really forced, but like you said, finding a character you can connect to. For me, I guess it was like, well, Chris might have killed the guy's wife and stolen the baby, but he's still Chris Redfield.
He's still the same boulder punching asshole or whatever Heisenberg calls him. Amazing comment.
How did he even know?
I don't even care. I love it so much. I was cracking up at that.
Yeah, that was a great line.
Spectacular moment.
Okay, so that said, let's talk some scores. I'll throw it over to you guys. Out of 10, what would you give the game?
You know what? Despite some of the flaws that we're talking about, some of the story that sort of didn't make sense, I still really, really enjoy this game, and I'm gonna give this 8.
That's a fair score. Yeah, I wish they didn't try to make it land in the Resident Evil universe as much as they did. Like they really shoehorned it in, and that for me like lost a lot of points. So really up to the final reveal is like a 9 out of 10 for me. Like it was really strong, really solid. And then I think it ended, I'd say close to like a 7.5 or an 8. I will play it more. I mean, I'm already playing it a second time, but I'll probably play it again. But I'm not going to be like really excited about it. It's just going to be to clean up achievements and stuff. So yeah, the story, like once you know the story, it's like, okay, that's the story. Yeah.
So I think officially like 7.5 out of 8. I think like all of us. So yeah, those are the two numbers I've been like kicking around in my head. Yeah, the gameplay's great. It's a little slow in mechanics that kind of bugs me. So like at times like I get attacked from behind when like I could have sworn there was nobody behind me just then, but these wolves are jumping out over walls. Yeah, the story as look, Resident Evil's never had great stories. Like it's always been, you know, dumb, but fine. Like a sentient doll, that's dumb, but fine, because it's just creepy shit. Like I don't mind. I don't mind if a virus, you know, influenced a doll to gain sentience and, you know, fly around. I don't mind. But like when, yeah, like the whole mold thing, it just comes back to mold.
Because
Yeah, it was a horrible reveal, a horrible twist, and just a lot of dumb story decisions, like Chris not, you know, talking, you know, not saying anything. But otherwise, it's a great looking game. It's fun. I'm replaying it, and it still, you know, does it for me. So yeah, I'd give it an 8. It's a good one.
I'm just gonna throw this out there for anyone watching this who's just like struggling. So the blocking situation, you can fire a one-handed weapon while blocking at the same time. I learned that at the very end. Just
Hey, there you
you're
go.
welcome. For anyone who didn't freaking know that, which is very
I
handy.
didn't even know that. I didn't know that. I played this, but defending or blocking is actually pretty useful. I'll say that much. Okay. Favorite boss? Who's the favorite boss here? Everybody's favorite boss.
Bien Viento. Donna. My girl Donna and Angie. Love them. Hate them, love them.
Yeah, in terms of just sheer, you know, most frightening boss, it's Donna. She was the one that turned freaky the least. Didn't turn to a grotesque monster. Other than that,
No.
other than that baby.
You fought them as they were. Like,
Yeah,
you knew what you were going to fight.
That's what I
minus
was
the baby,
hoping for. Lady D was be something like that.
I just wanted her to get taller. I just wanted to fight a really tall version. There's this video going around of a mod where every time you see her, her hat gets bigger. I don't know if you've seen that. I want to fight that. I want to fight that boss. Just a big hat. So funny.
I love the Heisenberg fight. That was probably my favorite, except like he kind of looked like Megatron there by the end. That threw me off a little.
The Michael Bay
Kind of weird.
movies.
Yeah, Michael Bay Megatron. But well, that was our review for Resident Evil Village. We had a good time despite its flaws. I am Alex. I've been joined by Lou and Michelle. And this was SideQuest, and we'll see you on the next one.
Bye-bye.